Hello, everybody. Welcome to Planet SkyFF, the world where everything revolves around £50,000. My name's Such.
And my name is James.
50 big ones, James.
Yeah, maybe to you, but...
Before we started recording, Nika said, what's with this bottle? Because this is actually, I'm drinking. Anyway, it's staying in shot. And if you are working for a drinks manufacturing company and you'd like your bottle on the table, please send an inquiry to help@planetfpl.com. Because they might pay us 50 grand to have a bottle on the table. If you're working at Huel, even more so. Like, come on, where's that sponsorship money? Because we ain't winning Sky and we need to get 50 grand some other way.
Tag them in response to the tweet for
Come
the
on.
podcast.
Come on, 50 big ones.
I've never heard of them, sorry.
Yeah,
I've probably just blown
other
the
than
sponsorship.
unless you work at Prime, because we ain't taking their sponsorship money, because that shit's just bonkers. To be fair, they're making so much money off that drink, they could sponsor us more than 50 grand.
Yeah, and also children don't listen to us. We don't think.
Oh, yeah, true. Our target demographic. Oh, James, you just reminded me of the greatest DM ever. I'd sign up to your Patreon, but my mum won't let me.
That was a private Patreon conversation.
Oh, fair play. Anyhow, we're talking about Sky Fantasy Football.
We are. How was your week?
Did
you actually make transfers? We
3
discussed
so far,
last
couple
week
more
about
to
you
go.
making 5. What
I'm
did
on
you do?
109 points, James. Is that good?
I'm going to guess yes, probably.
I mean, I'm talking in comparison to how many did you score so far?
89.
Yeah, and I used 3 transfers.
I used 1. So I would say yes.
So it started off well because I had just Harry Kane. I captained Harry Kane on Saturday. I did think there would be a bit of a divergence on who people would go with captaincy. That Nottingham Forest home fixtures, I've had my eyes on it for some time. So I decided to go with Harry Kane for that.
Yeah, can I just jump in and say I've had my eyes on Tottenham? Obviously, I regularly do, so I captained Haland.
Yeah. It was more around Forest than it was about Spurs, to be honest with you, who I'd seen fold 4-0 at my place just a couple of weeks earlier. So that was it was pretty decent. I had finally clean sheet points from Edison, and I had a few points from Rodri, who picked up his standard passing tier again.
Goodbye, Edison. I'll take it. Rodri went as well, did he?
He's gone. They're both gone. So I did okay. On the Sunday, I sold Rodri and Edison and Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva I sold on the Saturday for Lewis Dunk.
Yep.
And then I sold Edison and Rodri for Trippier and Nick Pope, who could have been a lot more. Both picked up, one picked up an assist and one picked up save tier in Nick Pope.
Okay. I
have 5 Arsenal players, James. Saliba, Zinchenko, Gabriel, Odegaard, Saka.
Yep.
I fucking captain Rashford though, didn't I?
Right decision,
as many would.
You can look at the outcome, but it's the right decision.
Yeah, but add those boys in alongside Trippier and Pope. My Sunday was pretty decent as well. So I yo-yoed in the space of 9 days. Pre-Salah versus Manchester United, I was about 800. Post-Salah and the Brentford game, where I missed my transfer deadline, I dropped to 1,750. After this weekend, I'm back up to the top 1,050. So that's a real swing back.
How many left?
24.
Okay.
And my intention tonight is to sell Haaland for Ivan Toney.
Okay.
And to sell Marcus Rashford for Alexis McAllister.
Okay.
So that will get me through the next few, because obviously Brighton have got quite a few fixtures now, 3-1 over Haaland.
We've just got more
Brentford,
fixtures than everyone anyway.
Yeah. And Brentford do as well. But post, like in terms of getting back to Marcus Rashford, because they've got quite a few good fixtures when starting from Newcastle. After the Leeds home game for Arsenal on the 1st.
Exit time.
Yeah, so then I'll go back to Rashford. So I'm not going back from McAllister to Rashford. It will be maybe Odegaard or Saka, and coming off a few others. So yeah, those 2 transfers are earmarked for tonight, assuming Toney's in the team and assuming McAllister's in the team.
You didn't sell Kane, did you?
No, I'm holding Kane.
I was going to say
that Everton fixture of captaincy just...
No, I was just going to say, obviously, that would be another Arsenal one out to go back to Kane, wouldn't it? But
I don't need to.
That's fine.
At the moment, as it stands. So, I'm obviously hugely happy to be back in and around that top 1,000. I want to get myself to a 3-figure rank and push for top 500, and then obviously go towards the top 100 as close as I possibly can is my goal.
Just thinking, is there any sense in selling Kane rather than Rashford for you? Same difference, isn't it? Either way, go back to one on the Sunday or back to one on the Monday. I don't know if it would be worth considering if you're definitely going back to Rashford, selling Kane, just because you put more money in the bank.
I mean, I've got 3.8 already in there.
No, I hear you, but I can't see where you'd spend it over this period. But I guess I suppose Rashford's more likely of an injury than Kane, is he? I don't know. Mind you, obviously Kane plays Saturday, doesn't he? Sorry.
Kane's got Southampton.
Completely fucking ignore me. I'm still thinking we beat Sheffield United, don't I?
Yeah, Kane's got Southampton, so that doesn't make sense. No,
of course it doesn't. Ignore that.
No. And so you said 84 points.
Again, I'm fairly happy with the team I've got. Ironically, it just took me 6 months to get there. I made one transfer over the weekend, sold Haaland for Ollie Watkins on Sunday, which obviously I spoke about quite a lot last week. So nice 10-pointer from him at the weekend. So immediate return on that is good. I got 4 Arsenal, which is great for this little period. I think you've got 5 for these upcoming Palace and
2 home
Leeds games on the other side. Yeah, then you need to think about the Exodus plan. And of course, you don't have to be on the Exodus, but there is certainly then gains for other teams coming up.
United have got 3 fixtures before Arsenal play again.
Well, exactly.
Newcastle have got 3 fixtures before Arsenal play again. And that game that Arsenal have is Liverpool. So,
and away, importantly.
Yeah, there's teams that are 4-for-1s, 5-for-1s. Yeah, there's some good options to come off them.
So, Saliba, Zinchenko, Odegaard returns for me. Obviously, nothing from Saka. I had 2 captain Rashford Sunday, said captain Haaland Saturday. I have got Kane. Kane's 15 points. Dunk, 4 points. David Raya, 5 points. Rodri, 5. I don't plan to make any moves tonight.
So who do you have tonight? Just Raya?
Dunk and Raya. So I'll captain Lewis Dunk. I think he's the best choice tonight in any case, personally.
Home to Palace, who haven't had a shot on target in 3 games. I think you're probably right, mate.
Well, you know he's in the 100 passes mark, isn't he?
Yeah.
So
comfortably.
If he can nick goal as well, it's obviously potential haul. I think all of the Brighton midfield assets are certainly worth a look. On that note as well, I note that Sky have awarded the points to Solly March for his quote-unquote goal at Leeds at the weekend. FPL will not be doing the same thing, despite the fact it's officially been credited to him now. But Sky have updated, they've given March the points from the weekend. I presume because it still falls in their jurisdiction of week where they can amend things, whereas FPL have this 1 hour rule. So no intended moves for me on top tonight. I realise that's probably going to put me behind. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of Toney owners. There's others will go, you're looking at McAllister. I think, where I buy McAllister, Mitoma or March tonight, yes, probably McAllister. I'm not sure what I'm going to do the weekend as yet. There's a temptation, I think, to move Rodri on to one of Ben Chilwell or James Maddison. Those are the 2 players I've got in mind.
On the Saturday, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, additional fixture there on the Saturday. Miss Rodri against
Liverpool,
home,
yeah.
And then those 2 teams have extra midweek fixtures to go as well, and they both play on that Saturday on the 1st of April. So there's no great entry point. I've spoken last week about the entry point for Maddison maybe being Tuesday the 4th. I might just decide to punt it a little bit earlier. So probably we'll go one of them. Chilwell, I think he's being bought by everyone in FPL at the moment. It feels like that won't be quite the case in Sky. I also know that historically don't go for the fullbacks.
Yep.
So an alternative might be, the reason I'm considering it more is my rank's not what I want it to be, right? So I might as well punt something a little bit different and have the potential upside of the attacking returns. Wesley Fofana news, I think, quite important. 7.5, isn't he? It might be, go that way. My consciousness with that is, I think Saliba, Trippier, Fofana are probably long-term holds, I think. Especially if I go in for Fofana. I think they're probably longer-term holds. And part of my thinking at the moment is maybe to look towards getting blanket Liverpool, unbelievably, from Monday the 17th of April. And you use a large chunk of transfers that I've got from there. That's the beginning of a great run of fixtures from Liverpool. And I'd like to go in quite hard for that, having reflected on it a little bit more. Now, if I've still got Trippier, Saliba and Fofana sitting there, I'm arguably not. I think I'd then look at probably Alisson, Van Dijk, Konate maybe, and I have to funnel into a 5-3-2. Once there, I'm stuck with it. Then I can't really consider sort of City or United defensive either. They'll have additional fixtures. And do I want to get rid of Lewis Dunk either? No, not really. So plenty to ponder. I think, therefore, it might be that Maddison's the more likely for me this weekend to keep an extra kind of option open for that a little bit later on. But yeah, I've got 14 left, so I'm not in the mood to go thumping things as much as everyone else. But currently, if we include the fixtures tonight, I've only got Rodri and Rashford without a fixture over the next 7 days. I'm not in bad shape.
No, okay, that's not too bad. Where are you overall now?
2,266.
Cool. So your goal overall, top 1K?
It'd still be nice
500?
to finish there, yeah. I think top 1K, yeah, I would probably, if I do go heavy on that Liverpool route, then I need it to pay off, don't I?
Cool.
Whereas the Man City route didn't pay off and things like that, right?
So a lot of the questions that we've had in on the Bird app, James, revolve around...
Haaland?
No. No,
Feels
they
like
don't.
it.
Although Michael Haaland wants the pod to be named after him in some sort of pun, and he doesn't know what it is. He just called it Michael Haaland.
Taking the mick.
Taking the mick. Yeah, there you go.
I'm not calling it taking the mick.
Well, okay, we'll call it something. Revolve around transfers.
Yeah.
Primarily, like, how many are you planning to use versus how many should I hold back and that kind of thing. And I think an important part of that is, well, what are the gains to be had prior to May? So I think a lot of people are now thinking May, which is the last 2-3 weeks as a run-in. There's, 4 fixtures in May, right?
Yes, but for many, that'll be 6, won't it?
Because of rearrangements.
Yeah.
So how many, that's now a mental break in a lot of managers' minds. How many can I pre-plan? And then what do I need for contingency for that last period? A large part of that question is answered by, well, what are the gains? Like, you're not going to use them if there's no gains. So what are the gains that we can potentially get? Now, we know the fixtures up until May. But,
kind of.
But asterisk is all around this European, what impact that could have. And I know you've kind of been doing a bit of thinking around which games might move from Saturdays to Sundays or what have you, having seen Man City thump Leipzig and that kind of thing. So it's a 2-part question really I'm posing to you is, what's the impact of what's going to happen with the fixtures, and therefore are there good gains that mean you might use more in April than you would in May?
Well, there's a potential issue in terms of re-entry for City, which you need to be a little bit conscious of. So I think it's worth we did do this a couple of weeks ago, but just a reminder, perhaps for people like me who've still got Rodri, obviously there's loads of you still got Haaland, thinking maybe selling tonight or later in the weekend. Just to have a look at a few things in terms of re-entry, because if you're getting rid of a Haaland, let's be honest, you're going to want it back at some point. Now it might be that's not till they play Fulham on Sunday the 30th of April if you're feeling really fruity about it. But the chances are most people want to go back a little bit earlier. Now they've got these 2 fixtures, Southampton and Leicester, currently scheduled for Sunday the 9th and Sunday the 16th respectively.
Yeah, most people will be looking at thinking, what are you talking about, James? That's a good re-entry point.
I have said that at least one of them will move. It could be that it's both. To start with the second one, the Leicester fixture, that's now highly likely to move back to the Saturday. The official Premier League's statement basically says that if Manchester United are playing the Europa League the Thursday before, then they will go into the slot of City's game on that Sunday. Therefore, you would think City going back to the Saturday.
And they're through, right?
They're 4-1 up. So you've got to think highly likely now that United's fixture at Nottingham Forest will move from the Saturday to the Sunday. The most likely, therefore, is that City's fixture with Leicester will move back to the Saturday evening. That means you want to go the week earlier, right?
Yep.
But if City play on the Tuesday in the Champions League in between those 2 Southampton and Leicester fixtures, that'll also move to the Saturday. So it could be that City's first 3 games after the break are all on a Saturday and the opening game of a game week. Now, with Haaland, I think it's very justifiable to say, I want to get him in, fuck the fixture gain, I'm going to get him in and captain him. Of course you can do that, but psychologically we all want that gain, right? Mm-hmm. It's worth saying it might not be there. And as mentioned previously, if those City games do move back to the Saturday, there are competitive captaincy options on both of those days. Rashford has Everton at home, and the following Saturday when City would play Leicester, Harry Kane has Bournemouth at home. So you can be competitive against it. You went Kane over Haaland this week, for example, right? And that paid off for you, right? So there is a chance you may be going without a little bit longer. Wednesday the 26th at home to Arsenal is another potential re-entry point, but it might be one again. You go, well, not that fussed to get him back in for Arsenal, considering he definitely won't play the following week till Fulham the Sunday. So it could be all the way to Sunday the 30th.
And if that Brighton game in game week 32 or whatever, how would you call it, gets removed,
and
a lot of people might just think, well, I've got Liverpool, then there's a gap, and then there's going to be another blank as well. Just leave it, because then if you go out a bit further, the fixture gains are huge.
This is the point. You go back in for them Southampton Leicester games. If they go back to the Saturday, they're both going to be 5:30s, so you won't see the team. So imagine the circumstance where City are playing Saturday Southampton, Tuesday Champions League, Saturday Leicester, Wednesday Champions League. Does he play all them 4 games?
Probably.
And we'd have to assume that probably yes, but he'd certainly play the Champions League games, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
So is there a chance you're getting him back in? We said no gain, but also a loss, because the week after the Leicester game is highly likely blank, because they're scheduled to play Brighton and Hove Albion. And that's the extra bit that adds on. You go, I'd mentioned this about buying Watkins last week and saying, look, if that game goes, I've got Watkins of how many fixtures? 7, 8 fixtures, I think it was, up till that point of going back to Haaland. Because remember, the night before,
3 maybe.
Night before City play Arsenal, Villa at home to Fulham on the Tuesday night. So if the money's left there, that's kind of part of my strategy as the point to go back at this point. You'll definitely want to go back by the latest the Fulham game, because you know then he's got extra fixtures in the midweeks that then follow from there on. And I'm not saying or recommending that anybody goes without Haaland for that amount of time. I think I don't need to tell anybody what the risk is. Anybody watched the game last night, but it's what the fucking risk is, right? 50-point captaincy in UCL fantasy if you went for that. No, I went Gonçalo Ramos gamble last week.
Who?
So and he returned really well.
Who are they?
It's 26 points. I thought that's enough. Obviously not. They do still at least own Haaland in that one, but yeah, it's a bit of a kick in the teeth, unfortunately. So you know the risk if you go without for that period of time. I think Leicester at home particularly would be like oh my God. But again, you could be competitive with Kane against Bournemouth. Now, of course, it's probably more likely one of those games stays a Sunday, but even if the Leicester game stayed the Sunday, say Man United went out of the Europa League, then do you even want to go back for the one game?
Yeah, before a blank.
No, it's a blank the following week, and then there's gains for others again, isn't there? And you can't sell from that point. So your alternative captaincy that day, if it stayed the Sunday, would obviously be Arsenal players at West Ham. I'd look at Saliba that day and I'd go, he's starting off 5. You get passing at West Ham, almost a certainty.
If the Brighton game goes, for example, like Liverpool have got Leeds on the Monday night, but they got Leeds, Forest, West Ham versus just Arsenal for Haaland.
And remember, Liverpool in that midweek in May, likely to have the extra Fulham game probably going there as well.
Yeah.
So, I think that Monday the 17th of April, Liverpool will be very, very popular. Technically, that's one of the fixtures that can still move, is Liverpool's game at Leeds, but it won't unless Liverpool overturn the deficit in the Bernabeu tonight, and they're 5-2 down, right? It is unlikely. Couple of notes on some other fixtures that could still move. Liverpool-Arsenal from Sunday the 9th to Saturday the 8th is another one, but again, that would need Liverpool to overturn the deficit. If the Man City-Southampton game, which is obviously more likely, moves to Saturday the 8th, that would move if City play in the Champions League on the Tuesday, the following midweek, which is obviously a 50-50 call at this stage. Then the replacement game on the Sunday will be Leeds against Crystal Palace. The following weekend, as said, Nottingham Forest, Manchester United now likely to move to Sunday the 16th, and most likely Man City, Leicester to the Saturday. The following weekend, there's obviously games we could lose, so Brighton and City, United and Chelsea, and in theory, Fulham Leeds, which is less of a relevance to people, though if Fulham suddenly have that game postponed, they'll certainly have gains going into the final stretch of the season and do have some interesting fixtures actually as well. We'll all be back on Mitrovic again. That weekend, as it would stand, the key issue is the Arsenal-Southampton game. That's single game day, Friday the 21st at the moment. However, should Arsenal go through in the Europa League, they will obviously be favourites against Sporting Lisbon. It's 2-2 at the moment. On Thursday, that fixture will move to the Sunday evening with a 7 p.m. kickoff. That also has a knock-on effect for a couple of other fixtures, which doesn't have a huge impact. But in the following midweek, Southampton-Bournemouth would move from the Tuesday to the Thursday, and the following weekend, Bournemouth versus Leeds would move to the Saturday to the Sunday. That's to accommodate the
And
movement
the Premier League already...
it's all announced.
So what
it's
would
not
they
clear,
do?
but that's what will happen.
What would they do on the Friday slot then? Because obviously the Arsenal Southampton game, they just will sack it off and give them another game. Just televise another game on another day.
Well, no, they'll still televise Arsenal Southampton,
but it'll
be 7:00 on the Sunday night.
Right.
So there'll be like three live games on that Sunday, for example.
Understood.
Yeah. Obviously, they couldn't move that one to the Saturday 7:45 because Arsenal would obviously be in Europa on the Thursday.
Yep.
So they've gone rather than
Sunday.
They've tried to avoid teams playing early kickoffs after Europa League. So that's why they've gone.
Arteta will only moan about it, won't he?
Whatever he'll moan about it.
He did against Fulham. After they just smashed Fulham, and he was like, "It's not easy at 2:00 on a Sunday." I'm like,
assuming the game does move to the Sunday, they then have that game on the Sunday night 3 days before they go to the Etihad, and then they play Chelsea at home 3 days after that as well. So it becomes quite a tight period. And again, that would only add to the idea of moving the Arsenal players on, because that's an obvious re-entry point. But remember, you may need the Sunday the 16th to cover if you're without Haaland for that period when Arsenal go to West Ham. But then Arsenal would play on 3 consecutive Sundays. So you can go back whenever you want if you decide to come off after Saturday the 1st.
Arsenal are going to smash
the one fixture from that weekend of Saturday 22nd, Sunday 23rd, which is really not too clear at the moment what will happen, is the Newcastle-Tottenham fixture. And the reason I say that at the moment is in the event that Manchester United lose to Fulham, but obviously play in the Europa League on the Thursday before, so that's if United lose to Fulham in the FA Cup and go through in the Europa League, their fixture with Chelsea would have to move to the Sunday. But it's not clear if it's the Newcastle-Tottenham game that will move or if it won't. And that's because obviously Brighton-Man City is scheduled as the 4:30. So in theory, there'd be no need to move the Newcastle-Tottenham back to the Saturday 5:30. But if they obviously move United and Chelsea to the Sunday, they don't have a 5:30 on the Saturday, which they probably want
to televise
two
something.
high-profile games. So the Newcastle-Tottenham one is the one it's kind of unclear if it might move out of the Sunday and go back to the Saturday. But I think the main awareness around this is probably surrounding the possibilities of Man City, Man United the week before against Forest, and obviously the Arsenal fixture. So there are still, as we said, a number of fixtures that can move. When will we know? Champions League and Europa League draws off Friday. Whether we'll have confirmation of, say, Manchester City's dates before Newcastle play Nottingham Forest on Friday night, I would say probably, but can't guarantee it. I think in the group stage, it took them a long time to confirm the dates of the games. So obviously they have to sort out whether it's Tuesday, Wednesday in the Champions League. It's only 4 times to sort out. It really shouldn't take them long. So you should know you shouldn't really be going in for Forest Newcastle Friday night unless you have nothing. But we should know before that kicks off. So that may have a bearing. So, for example, if you're thinking of selling Haaland for, let's just say, a Maddison or Chilwell, or a different example at the weekend, where those City fixtures land the weekends of Saturday the 8th and Saturday the 15th, possibly needs double-checking again before you do so. That's the key message.
Cool. The reason that all makes absolute amazing logical sense to me, James, is because I've got your spreadsheet open in front of me on my computer. And if you are interested in James' fixture planning spreadsheet, just a quick plug, patreon.com/Planet FPL. It's useful not just for Sky, but also you map out the Premier League fixtures and forecasting what may or may not happen and who has what left with your own fixture difficulty rating and all that kind of stuff.
Are you looking at any weekend moves?
This weekend coming?
Yeah.
Not as it stands at the moment, James. Not as it stands at the moment. Because obviously half my team is Arsenal. So the exit point for Arsenal is...
after Leeds.
After Leeds, which is the week after. I've got a couple of Newcastle and I'm not really coming off them. If anything, I'm looking to add to them. But that's the week after again for the West Ham fixture on the 5th, if I decide that I want any more. In addition to that, Kane's not going anywhere for me. And then I've got Brighton and Brentford, and they're not going anywhere either until the week after. So I'll probably be using none this weekend coming, if I'm honest with you, barring an injury or something along those lines.
It might even be that I determine none as well, because I think, particularly with Rodri, the line, because I've used more transfers than other people, the line I've taken recently with people like Trippier, Rashford, players I knew I definitely wanted back, I've just left.
Held, yeah.
And it might be I do the same with Rodri, whereas perversely, I might decide to take the gamble to go without Haaland for longer. With Rodri as well, I'll be fairly certain that he's going to play. Not that I think there's too much to doubt with Haaland for those Southampton, Leicester games, but a little bit more likely, I think, maybe to miss out. Rodri is so critical to what City do. So it might be that I decide to do nothing myself. Captaincy.
He's my favourite Sky asset all season.
He's been absolutely brilliant.
And his attacking returns, he's chipped in with a few goals and
Yep.
assists as well. He's been my favourite Sky asset all season.
Are you captain tonight?
Lewis Dunk.
Is that clear for you?
Yes. Obviously, I've got Toney, and it is tempting to go a little bit different and rogue because he's got a high ceiling. But Lewis Dunk with 100 passes and a clean sheet
It's 10.
is 10 points guaranteed almost, isn't it? So, and I do think they'll be good for a clean sheet today.
I mean, the logic on it doesn't need much more explaining than Dunk will probably hit 100 passes and Palace haven't had a shot on target for 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And the narrative of
It'll finish
the rivalry, it'll
finish 1-1 though. We know that.
85th minute goal for sure. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Dunk for the safety because I'm not sure what Ivan Toney or Alexis McAllister's ownership is like. Even in
Tony's gone massive now. I'm sure he has, Suj.
Yeah, so
Neither of us have got him, but you're getting him tonight.
I'm
right?
getting him tonight. 78.5% in the top 1K.
Yeah.
He has not scored double digits since West Ham in December.
Is that right?
Yeah, 10 points then, and he scored 15 points in November. He's at City, and then it was we're going back to October now. So he's not scored double digits in Sky in a while.
No, he's a great consistent asset. There's nothing wrong with him as an asset.
It's the is there a risk that he could explode and massively outscore Lewis Dunk? I don't think so. And if I own him as well, then I've mitigated half of it.
Well, an assist for Toney tonight should equal what our expectations is on Dunk.
Yeah,
I'd think of it that way.
Yeah, I mean, McAllister's been ticking along with 4s and 5s quite regularly when he's been playing. But again, no explosiveness for him.
Not sure about that. I think he's capable of being there, particularly with his positional
11
change
points
recently.
against West Ham. That was a goal and an assist. Prior to that, you're going back to November before it's a double-digit return.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's more. I'm not kind of saying is it. It's more like where's the what's the risk if not going with an attacking player is the explosiveness. Whereas Dunk 10 against West Ham, 9 against Bournemouth, 9 against Liverpool. He's consistently getting close to double digits.
If the form stands, Dunk will get 10 points tonight, won't he?
Yeah,
that's the point.
Yeah,
but also we've both got Lewis Dunk. It's only 11.6%, is it, of the top 1,000 have got him at the moment, I think? Yeah.
Correct. Bang on to the decimal point,
I
James.
haven't seen your screen. So most don't have him. So do you go for a Toney or a McAllister if that's your options tonight, or David Raya?
To go with the herd?
As in, well, I think Toney would be the most captained, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
So that's probably the safer play, it's worth saying.
I need Toney. I'm going to buy him tonight, and I really wanted to blank.
Then don't buy him.
No, because the reason I say that is because FPL, I've gone Mitoma over Toney, right? So I've got bigger gains there. So
so you're going to tell me you're going to have Toney in Sky and FPL and you want him to blank in both?
Yes.
Great. Enjoyable this,
well, this is the whole issue of effective ownership, isn't it, really, and how it can hurt your rank when people have captained him. So maybe I won't buy the bastard.
The safe play tonight for captaincy would appear to be Toney from an ownership perspective. Friday night, what have you got, Suj?
Friday night will be Trippier. Trippier. I've got Pope as well, but I'd be going Trippier because Pope he just wants to try and get himself sent off every other game at the moment.
75% ownership in the top 1,000 trips, so I think that stands to reason. He'll be certainly the most popular. I think, look, if you were going to buy a Newcastle player, you really should have done it ahead of the Wolves game, to be totally honest. But if you haven't, it's still a case to go in with the effective of a captaincy and probably taking out a player that doesn't play at all this weekend. Yet, therefore, yes, still do it if you want him longer term. Saturday is open field. I think we can say who'll be the most captain, Suj.
I'm going to go with Kane.
95.4% top 1,000 would say it'll be him by a distance.
I don't think the Ivan Toney risk on that day is worth it. And I'm not going to get a Chelsea player. So
I wouldn't captain Toney over Kane.
Oh, at Southampton.
Watkins, I would debate. But I think, the smart play here will probably be Watkins going to be enough of a differential in itself. He's owned by a third in the 1,000 at the top 1,000. I think most who were buying again would have done that the Sunday just gone. So if return will still be good for me anyway. So I think, probably Harry captaincy Saturday.
Yeah.
And then which Arsenal player Sunday?
Oh, James.
Did we go Saka again? 80% own the top 1,000 is the most. I think the best choice on Sunday, honestly, if you just remove ownership, in my opinion, is Martinelli. Who I don't own, I should add.
Look, I can't. This is the thing, right? I think our friend Tom Cantwell, I was listening to who got the assist. It was one of them was talking about how Arsenal players are like part of an orchestra, whereas Harry Kane, for example, is a soloist. With Spurs score, the likelihood of Harry Kane getting the points is there. With Arsenal, it could be anyone.
Yep.
And this is the challenge here with Arsenal. Like, I've got recency bias where all of the defenders that I own in Saliba, Zinchenko and Gabriel outscored the midfielders. And I think they're going to keep a clean sheet, and I think they're going to be good for passing. So it's going to be the safety net of the defender versus the explosiveness of the attacker. I'm probably going to go Saka, if I'm honest with you, because I feel like everyone else has been in on the act. He's going to want a piece of the attacking action. He can go big. So I'm going to go with Saka, probably.
But same principle applies on Sunday with, say, a Saliba or Gabriel as what applies with Dunk tonight, right?
Completely. That's 10 points in the bag versus...
Not quite
they
to
score
the same
more goals.
extent.
Oh, they don't score more goals.
Well, no, all I mean by that is, like, if Arsenal do get themselves 2 or 3 in front, they will cede. Whereas if Brighton get 2 or 3 up, they'll play exactly the same fucking way.
Go for the throat.
Yes.
I'm with you in that. It was something you mentioned earlier in the week that this could get messy for Palace tonight if Brighton really go for it. I can see it. It's going to be the 1-1. We know we talked about it. Yeah, but I mean, I've got...
It's 1-1 on Sunday, that'll do.
Grateful to have 5 options there, and you can make an argument. You could argue a case for pretty much all of them. Maybe bar Zinchenko, Saliba, Gabriel, or Odegaard, or Saka. I'm probably going to go Saka, if I'm honest with you.
Can I throw another name in? Leandro Trossard, 7.9, 1.2% owned in the top 1,000. And there is every case to say, by Sunday, 2 games, 3 for 0 over many if you captain. You could make the case to captain twice. I
don't know if I'd be able to buy and captain.
I think those with heavy numbers of transfers left, like yourself, Serge, should consider.
Do you know the interesting thing? I didn't even know what position he is. Is he a forward or a midfielder?
Midfielder, Serge.
So,
and very nicely priced. He's 7.9, Martinelli's 8.
Great price. I wish I knew what to do with the money in this game.
Trossard will be a super differential this weekend.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Jesus could start, but you'll see the team this weekend, and I think Trossard will stay in. I think he may even stay in for a little bit, actually. I'd be very tempted to gamble that if I had a lot left. It's not on the table for me to add anything extra for Arsenal. It'll be Saliba or Saka captaincy for me on Sunday. So I suspect the safer play for many will be Saka, 80% of top 1,000. That'll be the most captained.
Cool. Do you want to cover off anything from the games, James, in terms of tier points and what we saw from the weekend that caught your eye and maybe we should keep an eye on?
Yeah, Ibrahim Konate, just have a check of his price, please, Suj.
I will certainly check that.
He's an option going forward, I think. I know they conceded at the weekend. He did get booked as well, Konate.
9.2, James.
Yeah, well, it's $1 million or so cheaper than the others that are playing in that back line at the moment. And I think he's going to stay in as first choice. When Joel Matip has played this year, he's not been of the same level that he has in previous years. Joe Gomez, similar story. So I think with them out the Champions League, they'll be looking to really build this Konate, and if they go out the Champions League, I should add, really looking to build this Van Dijk-Konate partnership where they play together every week. Konate, 110 passes at the weekend versus Van Dijk's 84. Andy Robertson, only 33. Interestingly, playing more advanced. I don't know if that's good or bad for Sky, depends on your outlook. Trent was taken off with 25 to go on 45, probably would have got up to passing tier. He did hit tackles. Van Dijk had the lot, shots, tackles and passing, but that's not going to happen that often. Neto from Bournemouth, who's regularly in the save points, also was again. So was David Raya, of course, Suj, despite conceding for Brentford. at Everton. Godfrey tackles. Damari Gray is playing OOP up front at the moment. Don't consider shots here. Brighton 116 for Dunk this week at Leeds. Bit average. Adam Webster 85. Pascal Gross just out of passes as well on 58. From the Leicester-Chelsea game, Fernandes passes and tackles again. He's another interesting one who we've not mentioned as a potential option to go into this weekend, I think. Certainly enables, very decent price, capable of any of the tiers, essentially, in any match. Really good asset to potentially put in.
It's just the Rodri in dark blue, mate. 10, 5, 5, 6, 8, 7 since he joined Chelsea.
Brilliant, isn't it?
It's as good as you want from a 7.7, mate.
7.7.
Yeah.
Can make a case that's a more sensible transfer this weekend than sort of Maddison or Chilwell, as I've been considering.
He's locked in that team as well. He's not getting dropped.
What's his ownership up to, Suj?
Great question when I've just clicked off the screen.
Sorry, pal.
That's all right. No worries. 27.6 in the top 1K.
Yeah, not surprised. It'll kick
it's
that
not huge, but it's decent for a new player.
I think there'll be more that will go in for that over the next week or two, actually.
I'm tempted to seeing his point score.
Well, it's a comfort blanket. You always speak about that with Rodri. Why not look at it with him?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. Kovacic in the passing as well, 66. 7 tackles for Cucurella. 5 saves for Kepa. Might also be one people might consider. Perhaps Pope to Kepa Saturday. Don't overly see that, but some may consider it. For Leicester, obviously, Wout Faes suspended for this weekend's trip to Brentford. For Tottenham, Christian Romero and Højbjerg in passes. Kane was shots here, so too Heung-min Son. Nothing to speak of Forest. They were absolutely woeful. They were really, really bad. However, their home form, it should be noted for those who want to go Newcastle on Friday night, has improved significantly. I suppose one you might have a hindsight opinion on Newcastle, so there's another player's price for you to maybe have a look at, is Alexander Isak, who you may not have expected to start on Sunday, watched him and gone, oh, I want to gamble on that. That would be one where I'd think it'd be acceptable to say, okay, I needed to wait to make that decision.
8.1, 0.4%.
That's good, 8.1. Yeah. If you're stuck in, I would consider that. I think if for me it would only be if Trippier was injured. But if I heard on Friday, oh, Trippier's out, I want to cover for captaincy. Yeah, I'd arguably just turn that and go straight for Isak. Similar value as well. 84 passes for Rodri. The 3 centre backs all hit tier 2 passing as well. 76 for Kanji, 83 Diaz, 81 for Aki. I say the 3 centre backs, because John Stones went into inverted from right back, joined Rodri in midfield. Whoever does that, if they do it from the right-hand side, is invariably used as a decoy quite a lot. Doesn't hit the passing number. We saw that with Rico Lewis previously. John Stones did hit tackles, though. It was a potential lean on that side in terms of stopping Wilfried Zaha and counter-attacks as well. Palace missed the Corre, but set up tactically to frustrate. He's available tonight. Lokonga is ineligible for the game against Arsenal on Sunday, obviously his parent club. For Arsenal, the only passing tier at the weekend at Fulham was William Saliba. This is what I spoke about, the difference. They had this wrapped up, looked like they could go and win 6-7-0, and I don't blame them for, particularly with European football going.
Just control it.
We're going to sit off that a little bit. Also hit tackles as well, Saliba, so he wasn't miles off Gabriel's
he got 11 and Gabriel was on 14.
Yeah, it's good. Saliba, I think, is the one when we talk about Arsenal exodus. I'm not saying after Leeds you should definitely sell. That's not the case. They've been the best team in the league, and Saliba's certainly an example for me. I don't want to move that. I'd just leave it as far as I'm concerned, I think, at the moment. Martinelli was the one with shot tiers. Saliba didn't have the highest passes in the game. No, that fell to Fulham's Tim Ream, again emphasising the point I'd made. Manchester United, we should largely ignore the data from the weekend because of Casemiro's red card. De Gea save points, Luke Shaw tackled here. James Ward-Prowse, I think a few may have gambled on for the 3 games, Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. 72 passes and hit the woodwork, very unfortunately, with a free kick as well. Kyle Walker-Peters in the tackles. From West Ham Villa at the weekend, Tyrone Mings, 79 passes. We don't quite know yet what's going to happen with Diego Carlos, who did return to the squad at the weekend. Ezri Konsa was just outside of passing, 58. Douglas Luiz, 67, had to pick up a little bit more of a deeper role because of Boubacar Kamara's absence. He'll probably still be absent this weekend, but could return after the international break. For Newcastle and Wolves, no passing tiers as per usual. Lamina, Martinho in the tackles, Willock and Isak in the shots.
Yeah, West Ham's run an interesting one because...
West Ham's an interesting one.
Yeah, only
You're
because...
going to have to expand on that.
I've got so many Arsenal players. When I come off the Leeds game, we play Southampton on the Sunday. And then we've got Southampton, Newcastle, Fulham, Southampton, Newcastle at home before Arsenal play again. And actually, then we play Arsenal following that. And like the likes of Ben Rama, 7.9 is pretty cheap.
5 shots on target this weekend.
Yeah, there's a few, if I'm selling all my Arsenal players, I need somewhere to go. And who's got a fixture game? And West Ham do have one. We need to win these games. And Ben Rama likes to shoot on sight. Danny Ings might be an interesting one. But none of them are crazy money, you know. None of them are like 9s and 10s, maybe bar Bowen. So I may have a look and pump one for 3 games after if I have to come off an Arsenal player. I'm not saying steam in. I'm just saying if you're coming off a lot of Arsenal and you're like, where do I go?
Well, yeah, no, you raise a great point. So I think where are you going? It's United and Newcastle on the Sunday.
Clearly.
To which, if you were sitting there with Trippier and Pope, like how much more do you want? If you still got Rashford, what else do you want? United
without Casemiro, remember,
suspended for both of those games in that week and the Everton game the following Saturday. But there is a case, punt Bruno Fernandes if you got the money over that period. Particularly if, say, you were going to chain that onto if Haaland did play Southampton still on the Sunday.
Yeah,
Bruno, 3 games, then Haaland.
The 2 home games, Brentford and Everton, that they play, I mean, both are going to be tough. Brentford are tough, and Everton under Dyche will be tough.
I don't hate that, what you say, West Ham as well, because you'll have the 3 fixtures. It's Newcastle, Southampton, Fulham.
Southampton, then home, Newcastle, then home, Fulham.
And then
Arsenal is on
the Sunday.
Late kickoff.
Could cover you if you sell all of them and City don't play that day? No, probably not.
Go back to Arsenal for that West Ham game because they could demolish us.
They could, but actually you'd hold on one more if Arsenal Southampton gets moved to the Sunday and take in West Ham's game with Bournemouth.
Yeah. There is interesting gains there. I'm talking about 1 or 2 as a punt if you've got a good fixture count.
It would be Ben Rama. I don't hate that. What is he, 7.9 did you say, Serge?
Yeah, he's 7.9, no ownership at all.
Yeah.
Danny Ings 8.5.
Not owned by anyone in the top 1,000.
No, agreed.
He will be that day when they play Southampton. A few will go for that if he's fit. Yep.
Cool. So in kind of summary around these transfers and captaincy, you're on 14, you said.
Yeah.
And I've got 24. I'm looking at holding back around 8 to 10 for that running period. If I can use up another 12 to 14, but it might be 12 and 12. 12 between now and the end of April. And then 12 in that running period to really make some gains is what I'm looking at. Are you trying to hold back as many as you can for that period?
I'm not thinking about it that much, to be honest, with where I'm at, Serge. It's probably more about how many Liverpool, City, United, Brighton, I think, those 4 teams. How much do I think I'm going to have of them when I land there? It's worth saying Isak, for example, or even Lewis Dunk, obviously got the possibility of the extra Newcastle-Brighton single game day between... I would guess probably Wednesday the 19th or Thursday the 20th of April. So there's an extra there potentially as well. So it depends how much I've got of Brighton, City, United, Liverpool at that period. If I go really heavy Liverpool Monday the 17th, that's arguably part of the strategy of using those transfers for the end. If I've added to Rashford and gone a defensive, City's awkward. City probably comes later. City and United probably come later. Whereas Brighton you can add to if you want to. It's worth saying I'm probably not going to at the moment. Liverpool, I've got a clear target for that Leeds fixture. So it probably depends how much I'm using over that period. I know I'm going to want Leicester, James Maddison. I know if I sell Arsenal, I'm probably going to want some Arsenal back. I know I'm probably still going to want to hold Harry Kane for a certain amount of time. That is certainly a case, I think, to sell on, say, Sunday the 16th or Monday 17th. It's probably part of my moves to go to Liverpool after Tottenham play Bournemouth. But then it's possible Newcastle-Tottenham, Sunday 23rd, could end up as a single game day. I'll tell you what, I'll captain a Newcastle player, though.
Cool. Let's get into some of the questions we had on Twitter, shall we?
Yes.
Okay, and we've answered quite a lot of these already because obviously it was quite transfer focused. Shout out to my man Ian Parrin. James, he wants to know how your manager of the month attempt is going. He hasn't seen much noise in the Sky community about it in March compared to the world and his wife having a go during January and February.
I'm 55th, but too many points off. Way off. I'd captain Salah Saturday.
Right.
As most would have done on this strategy. And obviously the penalty miss is obviously particularly costly there. So I have got a couple more to use tonight, which I'm conscious that others won't do. So I've got 2 more I can use tonight. The logical would be to add Brentford, but I also think Lewis Dunk is the best captaincy. So I'll have a think about that later today. Then the idea, to be honest, was to end up with nearly a full team of Arsenal.
Okay.
For Sunday.
He asks if I'm going to have enough transfers for a 2 or 3 prong attack in May. Why would I not have enough transfers?
I don't know. Why wouldn't you?
Because my second and third team, I haven't touched them, so I'm going to set them up from scratch. I'm going to go for April.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
But Ian said he's going for April, so I wouldn't bother.
Why? You think he's going to beat me?
Yeah.
Ian, let's have a bet. Let's make it a feature on the show each and every week for April.
Yeah, but we don't do the podcast every day, and I can't rely on you to press the buttons.
Let's bet £50,000 because I've got to get this 50 grand from somewhere.
Can't.
Or, Fuel if you're listening.
Can you not have that bet because Ian's a shrewdie and he will take it.
Okay.
And he will take your money.
Right, Ian. Pints on me when we meet at a meet-up, which I'm sure we will get to do over the summer or maybe at Game Week 39 or something along those lines. I'm going to go for April and then I'll go for May with my other team.
All right, we'll have a look at that together.
But to be honest, I can do both months with both teams because there's only so many weeks and I've got 50 transfers in each.
You can barely manage one team.
Yeah, I know. Imagine how fucked you'd all be if I actually tried and focused. Anyway, Addy Tour. Is it worth moving Rashford out for a Brighton player tonight as he's already got Toney for captaincy? You know what? Whilst we've been talking, I was looking at McAllister tonight. McAllister got Palace at home tonight, then a blank.
You kind of poo-pooed it, Suj.
And then Brentford at home. And I'm looking at Enzo Fernandez, Everton at home, Villa at home, Liverpool at home. Do I think Enzo outscores McAllister in their next 3?
Might do.
And I kind of think he does. Yeah. And then I'm like, if I'm not going to captain McAllister, is it really worth getting him?
So it's the same thing. I'm actually looking at holding that and going, do I think Maddison then with his 3, which starts Saturday, is better than McAllister's 3 from tonight? So
I think I might skip.
I'm going to leave myself the information to
I
make
think
a
I'm
choice
going to skip.
for Saturday,
I'm going to go Toney because I think Southampton away, Leicester at home, 2 decent fixtures for Toney, and then Brighton at home. I'm going to get Toney tonight. I do think, especially with that high ownership. But I think I might skip McAllister, and I'll have eyes on Enzo Fernandez.
I think
Saturday.
Are you captain Dunk tonight?
Yes, without fail, unless he's not in the team.
I think arguably leave Toney now.
Ooh, why?
I think leave it. You ain't gonna captain him.
Yeah, I'm not.
I know it sounds mad because of how many transfers you got left, but then.
There's some big gains.
Invest it heavier into Chelsea, Villa, Leicester, Newcastle, something like that.
This is interesting, right? Because we get so fixated on fixture gains and entry points and exit points. So if I skip Toney and I skip Southampton away, Leicester at home, Brighton away, but I use that same transfer to buy Trossard for Palace and Leeds at home, I think Trossard could outscore Toney's 3. Trossard could outscore him in 2 home games.
I still wouldn't do that, though. It's one less game. And you
have
to factor that he might even start against Leeds.
But you've got to just look at... I think it's just about where's the points, not where's the fixtures sometimes.
But if you've got Trossard in Sunday, would you captain him?
No.
So then just 2 games?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I'd arguably look at going, right, am I going to go early for Maddison? Or, right, I'm going to put my trust in Fernandez as a leave it. And the thing is, once you've got players in like Salibas, Fernandez, Rodri's, etc., who you're just going to kind of leave and forget about, you can jump off these premiums so much better. That's really now where you want to be kind of focusing your transfers, I think, is either jumping the premiums or jumping into differentials, right? So we've given Isak Friday night, Serge. Think of that ownership, Naj, how many's going now? And that's one that's probably it's not right, okay? But we've got more information on him now than we had, say, Sunday, I think he's the one you could justify to say, I couldn't go in on Sunday, I can now.
Kelvin, 18 transfers left.
Would you captain Isak over Trippier?
No.
Maybe not then.
No. Kelvin has 18 transfers left, top 2K, just for context.
Yep.
Would you transfer out Haaland for Kane this week or go to Dunk tonight? That's a Kane straightforward, because now you're then giving yourself the most captainable option on Saturday. You're giving yourself the most captainable option against Everton away on the 3rd. And if you hold all the way through to Bournemouth at home, you've got 5 fixtures there of Kane. 4 fixtures, sorry. You might captain him in 3 of those 4. And Haaland's got Liverpool and probably Southampton away. I think that's a Kane over Dunk for me.
I think, as much as I want to say Lewis Dunk, Sudge has actually explained that quite well.
Yeah, it just seems very, very obvious. Mitch was asking where you envision majority of transfers being used between now and the end of the season. I mean, you've highlighted Liverpool, Manchester United, getting back some City.
But I know the thing is, like, no one's talking about Liverpool assets at the moment. Why would they with the blank this weekend? But when that Leeds game comes round, everyone will. What I hope between now and then is that they're the fucking bag of shit, and for multiple reasons, and no one wants them. And go,
they spunk their transfers on something else.
I need to get Salah in because I need a captaincy, and just forget about the others. Yeah, because I think there's a strong. I think that's one of the strongest ones left to look at the idea of a blanket block defensive, and considering how they've been, that sounds a little bit ridiculous. But the remaining fixtures from that Leeds game onwards, I think they could win a lot. Yep. Particularly if they're chasing for 4th, which they're probably likely to be in that position where they are. No distracting FA Cup. How many times we've been at the end of the season with Liverpool and we've been bollocks by rotation? We're like, they're going for the league. But
they were going for 4 competitions.
He's got a Champions League semi-final and he still rests people and stuff like that. That shouldn't be a problem this time.
Agreed.
So they've got a good run of fixtures. And when you consider blocks of perhaps City or United, for example, City, we know what the headache is always. It's not gone away. You can make more of a case for someone like Ruben Diaz, I'd see playing a lot towards the end of the season, for example. But United, if United are still in Europa League and they've got 3rd sewn up, what are they even playing for in the league? So, a blanket defence that perhaps no one has at the moment for the run-in would maybe be Liverpool, but comes with a caveat of it will be difficult to move on the likes of Dunk, Saliba, Trippier.
Last but not least, Gaz. He doesn't have a captain for Friday, and I think there'll be a few in that boat, mate, because they haven't made that move. He's got 5 Arsenal players, 3 defenders and 2 mids. Is the jump from an Arsenal defender to Trippier an obvious move? It feels like plenty of points left in the Arsenal players, but he's also worried about Trippier's ownership. Would you do it or would you skip it?
Just factor in as well, Arsenal probably unlikely to rotate defensively at least, and you've got Palace and Leeds versus Trippier's 1 captaincy. It's the same thing. So I'll need the coverage captaincy. Yeah, but you've lost an Arsenal player that's then got 2 games over Trippier. So no, I honestly
skip.
No, I would seriously give consideration to buying Isak.
Okay. And obviously we'll see the team, so we'll know that he's in it.
It would be, for me as well, it'd be psychological, as I've said several times on this. He's the one where there's an exception where you can say there's an explanation for why I didn't buy him on Sunday. There isn't with anyone else. Kieran Trippier, if he'd wanted in, really should have bought on Sunday.
Cool.
And you're only chasing everyone else's tail. What is it, a shield? I'd understand if you're like in the top 10 or you're top of your mini leagues and you need to block, fine, buy, because his ownership's going to be massive Friday night. Otherwise, probably leave it be.
Tidy. James, that's all the questions we've had in. That's all the fixtures. That's all the transfers. That's all the captaincy, all the ownership, all the shit to do with Sky. I think we have covered it off.
Super.
As I said earlier in the show, patreon.com/Planet FPL. Help keep the lights on and keep James in his spreadsheets. We've got to pay the Microsoft Office 365 license, you know. We'd love to have you over there as part of our Slack community as well, particularly if you're a keen Sky player. But other than that, stay safe. Time deadline today, 8 p.m. kickoff, 7:30?
7:30 tonight,
7:30.
Guys. Both
Don't
games,
miss it.
7:30. Don't get caught out.
Don't miss it, Suj. Stay safe. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Play it your way. Cue music, please, man, child.